All right, everybody, we're back with part two. And we're going to be talking about Elvis Presley with Glenn Hardin here. And one of the questions that I'm going to ask him is, how did he get the gig with Elvis Presley?
Well, I got a call one day from a gentleman named Tom Diskin, who took care of biz for Elvis. He worked for the Colonel, a very nice man. The problem was at that time, I had more work than I could get around to in 67, 68, and 69. I never stopped. I was arranging music, and I just didn't want to cancel what was booked because it'd be a lot of heartache and pain for a lot of people, and I had to turn it down. But I'm happy they called me 6 months later because I was getting tired of arranging music and I couldn't wait to get back to the piano. So I joined him in January of 1970. And I was with him for 6 years. And I enjoyed his company a lot. He was a fine gentleman to work with. We got to spend a lot of time together because we had a party up in his suite at the International Hotel in Las Vegas. And so I had a lot of time to sit and talk to him. And I enjoyed his company a lot. The thing was, he was a poor boy from the country, and I am too. And I think he knew that, so we got on very well together. And he was very interested in how I got started and so forth. And anyway, we got to spend a lot of time together and talk, and I really enjoyed his company and treasured those years I was with him. Loved him very much.
I noticed on some of the songs that you went up there and you arranged, "Let It Be Me,"
That was the
just
first.
just can't help believing, and "Wonder of You" were a few of the songs. Them three songs. How did Elvis feel about your arrangement on them three songs after you
Well,
brought his attention?
he always loved everything I did. As a matter of fact, I wanted to let him know I was an arranger, that I wanted to I was hoping I'd find a time to do it in a cool way. Because any fool can say, "Hey, man, I'm an arranger." So on the first day I worked with him, was an orchestra rehearsal. There was no audience there. It was on stage, but we had the orchestra. And at one point, they took a break. And when they did, Elvis stepped over there a little bit closer to us in the rhythm section, and he started singing "Let It Be Me." And we all kind of knew that song because the Everlys had a huge hit on it, you know. And anyway, so when the orchestra came back from their break, he said, "We'll work on that tomorrow. I think I want to put that in the show." So when rehearsal was over, I went upstairs to my room and scored it for him. Had all my arranger's tools with me, which is a pencil and a score pad and a razor blade to sharpen the pencil.
Wow.
Anyway, that upset my dog. Anyway, so when he came to rehearsal the very next day, I kicked off the orchestra and I wrote the melody in the intro so he didn't know what song we're playing.
Wow.
And as he walked by the piano, I handed him his lyric sheet. He was very pleased, and that's what set this whole thing.
I noticed on one of the albums that come from the soundboard, where they have them and then they put a concert together that was already done, that Elvis commented on one in the 70s with you. He said, "Play it, Jerry Lee." Do you remember that, Glenn? It did, and that first thing I thought, I said, you know what? Jerry Lee's one of the best that there is, and he's referring to Glenn Hardin as one of the best piano players, and that's probably why he said, "Take it, Jerry Lee." That was a
Well,
good compliment.
wow, if I could play like Jerry Lee, I would love to do that. But he was the best, you know. I love Jerry Lee a lot.
Were you at Graceland when Jerry Lee Lewis went over there and busted that fence over there, tried to go through Graceland because he was ticked off? You heard about it
I
though.
heard about it, but no, I wasn't there.
I know some people over there talking about that, and it's like, yeah, that was crazy. Had a amazing talent, but Jerry Lee had things he had to deal with as well.
Yes, yes,
Uh,
he did.
from what we did. How many songs did you do as far as arrangements for Elvis Presley?
I arranged 53 songs for him in that 6-year period of time while I was with him. 53, and that's a lot.
What was your first and what was your last song you arranged?
Let It Be Me was the first. And by the way, The Wonder of You was a #1 record. The last song I did for him, I'm sorry, I can't remember what that might have been. I'm sorry, I can't remember.
That's okay. It's all right. I mean, 53 songs, that stands out. That's quite a few.
That's a lot.
Also noticed that you were in the Jungle Room sessions at Graceland, or at least for part of that.
Yes, and I was going to tell you something. It went right out of my mind. So, it'll come to me. He was very easy to please. And everything I ever did for him, I wrote in a hotel room, either in Las Vegas, Lake Tahoe, or Honolulu when we did the Aloha show. They didn't tell me, but when we got to Honolulu, they told me I had to write 5, which I did. Now, 2 or 3 of those were strings only. That's real easy. But anyway, I could always do it for him because speed. I'm from LA, man. You know, I always knew speed is important, and so I had some tricks worked out to speed up what I did.
Which was your favorite that you did for the Aloha special?
Oh gosh, there were so many good ones in there. I can tell you that my favorite song I ever did for Elvis is a song called "It's Impossible," and I think that's the best arrangement I ever did. I think it's the best arrangement I ever did for anybody, and I'm sure it's the best one I ever did for Elvis, just because I felt like I really did it. You know, I'd come to a level where I was very pleased with my work.
And I take it was also because you probably looked at the song and said, you know what? I've arrived. I've arrived.
That's it, yeah.
You know, we all have them kind of moments in life where we just kind of take one thing and say, hey, this is how I know I've done it. And that's probably in your case, you're saying that was that song that did that.
Yes.
How did Elvis like that song personally?
Well, he liked it a lot. It's difficult to play, but we didn't do it. He had so many songs in his catalog, you never knew what he was going to do. We did it, I have no idea how many times we did it, but it seems like that's all just that's a difficult question because there was just so many songs in his catalog, and he always was just winging it, you know.
How was your relationship with the TCB band members during that 6-year run that you had with Elvis, and which one would you say was your strongest relationship with the band members?
Well, I knew James real well, had known him for many years, and he was a dear friend, still is. But I was very close to Ronnie Tutt, and really enjoyed enjoyed his work. He was an educated musician. And Jerry Sheff was playing bass, and he was a really good bass player. So we all got along very well. We didn't argue about things. We would quite often discuss things briefly, but we knew what we were doing, and so everything worked out very well.
Whenever y'all traveled with the shows that you went ahead and you did, would you say, or do you recall how many shows you did with Elvis during the 6-year period that you were with him, roughly?
I don't really know, but I was in Australia once upon a time doing an interview with a guy on the radio, and he asked me that question, and I told him I didn't know, and he told me that I had done 800 and something shows. The number was something like 888 or something. So, but I don't know if, but later I thought about all of that, sitting on an airplane or something, and I thought about it, and I suppose that's probably correct.
Because a lot of times y'all would be doing 2 shows a day.
Yeah.
Matinee and evening shows.
Yeah.
And some of the shows even went as long as 3 shows a day, depending on the city. There's one I do want to ask you about. I noticed that there was a few shows out in Vegas and Lake Tahoe that were 3 a.m. Do you remember that? And if so, what can you tell me about that?
Well, we would do Elvis would always do a free show for the employees because they were always working and couldn't come to the show.
Right.
So he'd do a free show for them, and it would always be at 3 a.m. because it'd be after we had done a show. So that worked out well, and the audience just loved it because at last they got to see him.
When you were with Elvis, it's been stated many times by a lot of different people that work with Elvis, with J.D. Sumter and so many of them, that Elvis had made the comment to so many people closest to him that he felt like he was put on this world more than just to be a singer, that he couldn't figure out why would he be blessed with so much talent, and there's got to be more to it than this. Did he have any kind of conversation with you like that?
Well, he was. It bothered him a little bit, you know. He was born, and he had a twin brother who died at birth. That bothered him. That, like, why me, Lord? You know, that he survived birth and became a big star and a movie star and on and on. He couldn't figure that out. But he loved gospel music, and he was deeply religious. I think if he had ever done it, I think he wanted to get into being a gospel singer, but that never happened.
So he's definitely, from what we hear and what we see, he loved gospel music.
Yes, and he admired a lot of those guys in gospel music, and he had some very favorite singers, and I can't remember who all they were. Oh boy, I wish I'd have thought about this earlier so I could tell you. I know he loved Harry Mills of the Mills Brothers. He was amazing. He loved Roy Hamilton, and oh gosh, he was truly into music. He listened to the radio, but I can tell you that the radio in Memphis is very different than the radio we had in L.A. and other places.
That is amazing right there. I know that Elvis, did these all-night sings at the International Hotel. Were you part of that? Of the all-night sings where after he did the shows, he'd go to the penthouse suite and would want to play gospel till 4, 5, 6 in the morning?
We were invited always to come up, and it happened every night, and it was fun to be there. Everybody in town wanted to be at that party, so he felt good though with security out front. He liked to be behind locked doors and be with friends, and he could open up and be himself and have a good time. But that was every night we did that, and it was a lot of fun.
Wow. One of your last shows that, and tell me if I'm wrong in saying this, one of your last shows that you did with Elvis was noted to be December the 31st of 75 at the Pontiac Stadium.
That's correct.
Couple things about that. Do you remember what the audience size was, attendance? And then number two, what was special about that to you since it was your last show? What stood out?
Well, it was freezing cold in that place. It was one of those airlock buildings, you know, and it was very cold outside and inside. It was so cold, it was really difficult for us to play, all of us. I don't know how Elvis did it, but he did. So I don't have fond memories of that show, but I always enjoyed working with Elvis. But that was just that cold was painful.
I know during this period of time there was a demand for him to go overseas. I mean, Europe, Asia, Canada, and, you know, a couple of different scenarios, but they said one of the reasons he did not go overseas was because of the Colonel.
Correct.
And we've heard that over and over again, and that Elvis kind of struggled with that because he really did want to go and perform for that audience out there.
He did. He told us quite often that we're going to tour the rest of the world. We're going to go to Australia and the UK, go to Europe, and he should have. It would have been very good for him because he'd come to a place where it wasn't looking good. He was doing drugs, I'm sorry to say, and had some problems in his life. It would have been very good for him to get out of town, go meet some new ladies, have some different food, breathe some different air, you know. But he didn't want to play those big stadium shows. The Australians offered him $1 million for one show, but it was in a football field, you know, and he didn't want to do any of those.
Well, everybody, this is the end of part 2. We're going to take a break, and we're going to finish up with Mr. Glenn Hardin on part 3. So stay tuned and hope you enjoy that.
Don't touch that dial.
That's right. We'll be right back.